Hello everyone, Crowie here, another episode of the Sparky Coach podcast, or Le Podcasto, depending on what your accent is, or the podcast, mate, depending on how you talk and where you're from. So welcome, another episode, super pumped to be here with you, wherever you are. I hope you're okay. And if you're not okay, just check in with yourself and be like, why? What's going on? Maybe you're feeling real busy in the washing machine, in the hamster wheel, in the dryer, on the treadmill, whatever you're feeling. Just ask yourself why. Why am I feeling like that? What can I do about it? And let me just preface this by saying the session, well, I guess it's a session. The podcast today is on the importance of continuity. The importance of continuity, not consistency, continuity. So I'm not even talking about anything electrical. We're not got no multimeter here. Belling out, actually my 4-year-old boy just loves the multimeter, just like just doing his thing. And he's like, I'm an electrician. I'm like, you've got a lot to learn, mate. You've got a lot to learn. Definitely not in that voice, but you get the sort of gist. But the importance of continuity. But just want to flag something before we get started, and just this statement. Workload specifically, you want to be looking at it, not looking for it. Workload, you want to be looking at your workload, not for your workload. It's like that additional roller 2.5. You want to be looking at it on site, not for it. When you're trying to finish a rough in and you're a bit of cable short, and you're like, do I run some 6 mil instead of the 2.5? Do I run some 1.5 instead of it? No, sí, no English. Yeah, don't do that. But you want to be looking at it, not looking for it, right? Because like when you are looking for work, it's taking a lot of time, and that time, your expenditure, or that expenditure of sort of energy and effort and sweat into finding work for tomorrow or next week, usually takes your time away from the non-negotiables of what needed to happen last week, whether that's invoices. Quoting's normally prioritized pretty high because you've got to get that quote out because it's actually life or death to get that out. So quoting normally takes some element of priority, but like just the importance of that workload, understanding that you're only as good as what you were doing 3 to 6 months ago, so keep putting in the hard work, keep asking yourself the question, if I threw 3 additional tradie apprentice teams at you, are you still busy? And it's a lot of times, sometimes it is like, yeah, I'm still busy. That's great. And sometimes it's like, no, I'm not. So just pull yourself back this year. Work harder, not smarter, as we always talk about. And actually, that I didn't say that wrong. Work smarter, not harder. But still work hard, but still work super smart. You guys know what I'm saying. But the importance of continuity. I just want to flag this. Session, and because I measure people's hours with them, when people sign up, most people go through what we call a 3-pack, 3 one-on-one sessions. One's your cost of operations, one is your unique business pathway. This calculator predicts sort of your hourly rate, your charge out rates. It predicts your profit or potential profit, when you need to hand your admin over. It predicts when you need to eat your breakfast, what you need to have for lunch, what kind of green smoothie you need to order from the local cafe. Actually crazy. I don't know if this is Australia-wide, but I swear Byron, we're paying like $18 for a smoothie right now. So I don't know where you sit on the smoothie scale, but we are paying lots of money, and the smoothie's getting smaller and smaller, and the red frogs aren't still 5 cents. I get it. But hey, I wish they were. How good are red frogs? Let's take a moment of appreciation for the red frog family. So good. I love lollies. If you know me, I've always loved them. Just a big lolly guy. My little 6-year-old Phoenix also enjoys dabbling in some lollies too. So, but we're talking about the importance of continuity under the premise, under the preface, under the phrase, under the mantra, under the ethos, under the commandment, whatever you want to call it. The most important job is the one you're at. The most important job is the one you're at. The most important job is the one you're at. Now, you can reference that to, I'm not talking about your office stuff, where it's true, focus on one task at a time and you'll be much more productive. That's great. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when I'm measuring people's hours with them, part of the 3-pack. On the 3rd session, we measure the hours, and you're going through and you see people work 7-hour days, 6-hour days, 10-hour days, and they're starting jobs and they're coming back and they're not completing the job properly, and they're coming back and they're getting 2 hours done here, 6 hours here, 3 hours here, 4 hours there, 2 hours here, whatever. And you look at it and you're like, what happened? And it's amazing when you pull yourself back and you look at your hours. When you pull yourself back and you look at where you or your staff members spent their time this week on what. And when you look at how productive it is, and sometimes an 8-hour day somewhere can be 3 lots of 3-hour days. Like, you know, it's just crazy. So it's like, how are you spending your time? There's so many times you see people not quite finish a job that afternoon and come back the next morning. So we had a big rule on that, you know, an hour and a half or 2 hours in the afternoon is 4 hours or 4 or 5 hours tomorrow morning. In other words, by the time you pack your tools up, get rid of your tools, clean up, sweep up, put the drop sheet up, say bye to the client, pat the dog on the way out, say bye to the baby, and then come back the next morning, set up, oh, I got to do this, oh yeah, okay, take a phone call, pick someone up from the wholesaler, finish the job, test everything, pack the sheet up, clean up again, pat the baby, pat the dog again, give the dog a little belly rub, have your smoke, go, drive to the next job, it's midday. You've got to treat the most important job as the one you're at. Can you finish this afternoon? Is there an opportunity to finish this afternoon? It's very important. On this as well, and this is where like one of the biggest costs to, or one of the biggest reasons people aren't getting their hours in, or a big reason people aren't getting their hours in is simply mishandled jobs, i.e. not prioritizing the one they're at, or getting callbacks, the non-billable callbacks. So a lot of times the non-billable callback might come from like something really, really simple that an end of job checklist could have solved. Like, hey, did you clean up? Did you pat the dog? Did you send a Google review link? Is everything being tested? Has everything been, like, a lot of times it's quite simple, the checklist you've sort of got to produce there. But having that mantra, the most important job is the one you're at, it's like if you've got to pick that PowerPoint up and you don't have it in the car, or got to pick that X item, insert item here up, don't have it in the car, just go and get it and come back. The second you're like, oh, we'll come back later, or the staff members go, oh, we'll just come back later, or we won't finish today, but we'll come back later. The second you do that, you're costing yourself time, you're costing yourself money, you're costing yourself product. So the product's going to drop down because, you know, here's what's going to happen. When you've got to come back to a job, it's just going to cost you time. I'm talking about you and your staff members, obviously, but having the mantra, the most important job is the one you're at, it's really going to sort of make sure that let's get this job done, finished, invoice. And this is where rules like every Monday the invoices must go out. Every Monday the variations must go out. You have to have these non-negotiables. You have to have these standards in your business, because if you don't have standards, you don't know what you stand for. And if you don't know what you stand for, then you'll fall for anything. So I remember back early sort of days, you know, having all these pending invoices, you might say, and I'm like, oh, we just got to go back and finish that, or I've got to fit that light off, or I've got to just finish that, or we've got to do this, and it's all the time. We had I remember looking at it one day, and we had 10 to 15 outstanding invoices that I couldn't invoice for, that I shouldn't say couldn't, that I didn't invoice for because they weren't completed or finished, and I was like, oh, I'll just wait. And sometimes the job might finish in 4 to 6 weeks time, in 4 to 6 days time, you know, and sometimes it's like, it's what it's doing. It's by not sending the invoice every Monday, but not having that mantra, that rule, that commandment, that ethos, you're basically allowing yourself permission to draw the job out. To if you've got to send the invoice on Monday, then you go like, oh, I've got to wrap that job up, I've got to finish it. So a lot of times for me, sending the invoice on a Monday, if it was a job we had to fit a light off at, I would send it basically with the additional charge, or additional whatever, or if it was a quoted job, just send it and be like, hey, here's the invoice, we've still got to fit that light off, we're coming tomorrow afternoon. So by sending the invoice, it forced my hand to finish the job. By not sending the invoice, or by leaving something outstanding or pending, it allowed me slack, or allowed me grace, or allowed me, oh, I'll just send the invoice when we finish. And when you're sending the invoice when you finish, if you don't send it, there's no reason to go back there. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about, because what happens, you get busy, and when you get busy, you get disorganized, and you get put under the pressure cooker, take the pressure down, John Farnham style, right? David Bowie under pressure. You get so much pressure around you that you forget to send things, and all of a sudden you've got a $500 job to finish. The client's bill is up to $750. They're expecting a $750 invoice. Now you're going to hit them with a $1250. They're like, oh, what the hell happened here? And you're like, oh, okay, that's what it was. So it's like, just send the invoice every single Monday, get it out. Even if the job is not finished, just send it for what's been completed at that point. point, hey, this bit's still outstanding off the quote, or hey, we've still got this much work to do. We're going to do that at this point, but we've invoiced accordingly. I just never forget how much that saved us over the years. Having to send that variations. We say this all the time, but like, you know, you might have 3 lots of $2,000 varies, right? Insert amount here. It's kind of irrelevant, to be honest. But someone might be happy with the 3 lots of 2,000. Oh, I can see that. I can see that. I can see that. But they're like, 1 lot of 6,000. You're kidding, man. Like, what the hell is this? Same thing, right? 3 times 2 is 6. So 3 lots of 2,000 is 6,000. But 1 lot of 6,000 just hits different. 1 lot of 6,000 just feels different. Because people, I mean, I can't remember what I ate for lunch yesterday. I don't know how you feel. I can't remember what I did last week. I don't know how you feel. I reckon you don't know where you were last Wednesday. Or you have to think about it and go, oh, was that that job? Oh, that's right. I went to that quote in the afternoon. Oh, that's right. I had to pick the kids up from school. Whatever. It's very hard to remember. You have a short memory span. Like, that's just what sort of happens. You might be able to recall it, but it's hard to remember. It's hard to recall. Amounts add up, right? Like real quick. So the client has a short memory span. The client might have added $150 times 10, $1,500 on the spot on the morning, felt good about it. But if that invoice comes through that afternoon for the variation, or that quote comes through for the variation that afternoon, they're like, oh, cool, that's what they said this morning. If that comes through in 2 to 3 to 4 weeks time, they're like, did they really say that? Like, is that really the wallet inspector? What is okay? And what's going to happen? It's like compound interest. You don't know what's happening. It's just compounding, right? It's kind of just like, you don't want to put yourself in a position where the client is basically going, hey, that sucks. I think we were not expecting this. So send your invoices every single week. Variations must go through every single week. But the most important job is the one you're at. You have to preach this mantra to your staff members, right? They have to know if they can finish, they should finish, right? On this as well, I have to give my staff permission to tell me when to get stuffed. I was like, because as a business owner, you're always trying to put out spot fires, trying to keep people happy, trying to like bend and jig and rejiggle and shake and chop and turn and churn through like, oh, we got to get here. I just need you to get to this one job this afternoon. I just need you to get to this one job tomorrow. Oh, you know, Betty called me. She's really upset. The ceiling fans. How many ceiling fans have you been to when they're like, there's a ticking sound and they're like leaning forward and you just, all you're hearing is the sound of a motor. And you're like, I don't know what planet you live on, but every single motor is going to make a little bit of a noise, right? Like, it's like tick, 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 boom. Whoever sings that song, probably Will Smith, probably not, but maybe. Anyway, the most important job is the one you're at. So it's like, you've got to tell your staff members to finish and finish properly. And when you as a business owner can rejig and reschedule, or just drop your tools and go back to that, just drop your tools and go back to that, or just pack up and go here tomorrow morning, or I'm going to rough in here on a Tuesday and actually go to the next rough in on Wednesday, then go back to that rough in on Thursday. Actually, we've also got to keep the builder happy, so go across here, or the real estate got an emergency call out, so pick your tools up and put them in. Or actually, that's right, we've got to work tonight, I forgot about it. So like, just what's going to happen is that's going to happen to you. Whether you like it or not, you're going to go through a stage of business when you're disheveled, disorganized, under the pump. And it's not that you're bad at your job, or it's not that you're just busy, right? And sometimes busy is the enemy of productive, or busy is the enemy of smart work, right? So you've got to basically just have some standards that you live by. The most important job is the one you're at. Hey, we can't make it out there tomorrow. We get there the next day. Be honest about the schedule. Make sure if there's still something to complete at the rough-in, go back tomorrow and finish it, and then go to the next job. There's a stage and age of business where you're kind of going to feel like you're juggling, 5 or 6 balls. You're just going to have to make it happen in that season, and know that you've got to get out of that season as quickly as you can. That season for me and for most people is that sort of 1 to 4 staff members. While you're still available and able to be on the tools, you can get pulled in all directions, like sort of Stretch Armstrong kind of vibes. So it's like, just make sure the most important job is the one you're at, and preach that at every single staff meeting. Get the job notes completed properly. Make sure you've dotted the I's and crossed the T's. If the client want any additional work, have you done the electrical health check? Has the switchboard been checked? Has the power points that you installed been tested? Has the data points been tested? Have the downlights and dimmers been? Is a client aware of how to use this product you installed? Is everything above board? Like, is everything above board? Because the invoice has to go out on Monday. That's the rules at the absolute latest Nicolas Cage movie, Van Damme movie, Billy Get to the Chopper, Predator style. At the worst case scenario, the helicopter, i.e. the invoice, is leaving your job management system and going into their inbox by Monday at 9 a.m. Has to be the case. If you can't do that, I would check yourself before you wreck yourself, or get an admin, or ask yourself why you can't get that done, because there should be really no good excuse. But I want to talk about this. So if the most important job isn't the one you're at, then you're going to cost yourself a lot of time. In other words, going back to places just costs you time. Whether it's a callback, or whether it's a label something, or whether it's a pick up stuff, it's going to cost you time, right? It's also going to cost you money. Why? Because money is time. And this is crazy thing about callbacks, but if you're $170 a tradie apprentice team, which you should be something not too dissimilar to that, a callback for a team is basically going to cost you 2 hours when travel and site time is included. That's $340. If you did that, if one team did that once a day, right, that's $1,800 a week. That's about $80,000 a year. Psycho, right? Psycho. So that's how much you can cost yourself on callbacks. Not only that, not only are you not able to bill for that, like you're not able to bill for that time you went back, so you're still paying your staff members. You're also not able to get a job done that would have paid you in that time as well. So the $300 is like a turnaround. It's like $300 that was costing us. Like, it was also, we could have charged $300. So it's like a $600 turnaround. It's absolutely insane. But probably the biggest thing, one of the biggest things that's going to cost you is your product. Your product's going to go down. Now, imagine like you're a homeowner and you're walking around and you're like, oh, we're just waiting for the Sparky to finish this off. Oh yeah, Sparky said he's waiting for something. He's been waiting for that since 1994, right? And you're like, and then they call you and and it's also going to take a lot of pressure off you when the client's ringing you about, oh, when are you going to get this done? And you're not answering phone calls because you feel bad. And it's, oh yeah, I think I've just ordered it, and you haven't ordered it, but you're just saying you have. Like, it just takes, not finishing the job puts so much pressure on you, right? Or like not being organized. But it's gonna, the most important job is the one you're at. If you don't live by that ethos, it's gonna cost your product, and your product is everything. In other words, if you're roughing in and leaving and coming back and roughing in and leaving and coming back and roughing in and leaving and coming back and roughing in and leaving, or if you're doing half jobs everywhere, you make no mistake, you are going to come unstuck sooner or later. And the builder or the client or the real estate or the commercial person is going to be like, I just don't know why you just can't get it done. Like, this thing has to get done, and you are going to make a mistake sooner or later. You're going to drop the ball, and it's going to cost you, get this, it's going to cost you, get this, it's going to cost you your reputation. It's going to cost you your reputation, and your reputation is everything. When your product drops, and it drops once, maybe that's okay. Drops twice, drops 3 times, your reputation's gone, right? So in this as well, I'm a big believer, you're only 1 to 5 invoices, like wrong invoices or misplaced invoices or overcooked invoices away from losing the trust of the client. And when you lose the trust of the client, your reputation drops. And when your reputation drops, everything you worked for can disappear so quickly and so easily. You know, it's that age-old sort of philosophy that reputation takes a lifetime to build and a moment to knock down. A moment to knock down. A lifetime to build and a moment to knock down. And if you don't believe me, send someone a wrong invoice 3 times in a row, like an overcooked invoice or an overinflated invoice, or for a variation that you haven't discussed properly, or send them an invoice for a job that was done poorly, or send them an invoice for an 8-hour job where you hit it in 3 different times with 3 different travel fees or call out fees associated to it because you couldn't get it done in one day, and the client's like, couldn't you have done this in an 8-hour day and I could have saved myself 3 travel fees? And you're like, yeah, but I was just disorganized. You're only like a moment away, or a couple of invoices away, or a couple of losing it away, or a couple of unfinished jobs away, or a couple of not prioritizing things. You're only a couple of items away from letting the client down, and you can let the client down so many times, but not too many times. You can let your staff members down so many times, but not too many times. You can let your partners, your wives, your brothers, your sisters, not that your brother's your partner, but I hope not. But stranger things have happened in the Sparky community, right? It's pretty insular. But you can let everyone down so many times, but not too many times. And you want to err on the side of above reproach in everything. So the most important job is the one you're at, and for your team, adopt that as your mantra, adopt that as your ethos, adopt that as your commandment. Get that tattooed on your head, get that tattooed on your lower back, get it tattooed somewhere where you're like, okay, sweet. We're going to get this job done. We're going to finish that job. We're going to leave it complete. We're going to leave it excellent. We're going to do everything properly, because that's why we started the business, to keep our product high, to keep our service high, to keep our clients happy, to keep our staff members happy. On that as well, a sideways comment here, but no staff member likes bouncing around. No staff member likes packing up and going somewhere and packing up and go, like, when it's not finished. It's like I said, you're waiting for someone to get frustrated with you that works for you, or a client to get frustrated with you that's paying you, because why isn't the job getting done? Or worse, a mistake getting made, or a serious mistake getting made because someone was rushing, or someone had to leave, or someone was just really disorganized. So the most important job is the one you're at. Adopt that as your mantra, and get it tattooed somewhere, PG or X-rated, don't really care. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you soon. Bye.